Welcome back. You know, sharing facts about the reality of the silent and invisible epidemic of violence and its impact on the lives of generations of girls and women in America is the key focus of our next guest. She very well may have the most compelling story on our show. So please, if you can relate or have a story of your own to share, have a pen ready to write down the web address for the National Crittenton Foundation, because you can make a difference. Let's welcome the president of TNCF, Jeanette Pai-Espinosa.
Well, thank you. We're very honored to be here to let everybody know about the National Crittenton Foundation and the girls and young women that we serve. We were actually founded in 1883, so we're almost 130 years old. And we, throughout that time, have served girls and young women who are survivors of violence, abuse, and neglect, really in an effort to help them thrive, heal, and even become leaders for change. And you know, these are really girls that are invisible. They really live on the margins of what we call the American dream. The Crittenton family of agencies provides services to these girls and young women in 31 states and the District of Columbia. These girls come from the foster care system, juvenile justice, they're homeless. Many of them are young moms. Many of them were trafficked for sex in this country, in the United States. And the goal really is, again, to help them heal, but also to help them break the intergenerational cycles of abuse that they're born into, so that they can, you know, change their lives and also change the lives of their children.
I think a lot of us women and girls can relate to that cycle of destructive behavior. You know, since the foundation has been sort of serving girls for 130 years, I know you have some success stories to share with us.
We do. We have many young women who are active with us and who actually heal and then also work with us and end up going to Washington, D.C. to meet with decision makers and policy makers so that they can contribute to change. And I think we have some stories to share with you of those young women.
All right, let's take a look.
Finding Crittenton made a difference in really them showing who I was and what my strengths were and that I was worth something. Hearing that word, worth, was like a little switch that just lighted me up.
I cannot wait to just be able to look at them in a cap and gown and be like, you said I would never be here, and look where I'm at now.
I'm almost the woman I dreamt I would be when I was 12 years old. I'm strong, I'm independent. I might trip, but I don't fall anymore. I get right back up.
That sense of empowerment, like when I first spoke for the foundation, I was shaking. But I remember waking up the next morning and looking at what I had been through and where I was today. Like, never in a million years did I think, as a baby girl, being abused, being unloved, that I would have people from Congress and people who were business people listening to me and actually wanting to hear what I had to say.
Wow, those girls are truly inspiring. I mean, it breaks my heart, but truly inspiring.
Yes, they are. They're courageous, they're resilient, they're just amazing. And the reality is, Nikki, that violence really is an epidemic when we talk about girls and young women in our country. 1 out of every 3 young women is subjected to violence or abuse before they're 18. 61% of the females in America that are raped are under the age of 18. And the average age at which a young woman is trafficked for sex in this country is 12. So we have a serious problem in our country. Partially, those statistics that I just gave you are only reported cases.
But there are true successes, and the cycle is broken.
Yes, there are many, many, many successes. And these young women who are survivors, actually, with support of services and people, they can grow to nurture healthy families, to be economically self-sufficient and more, and even to give back to their community and become leaders. They can definitely break those generational cycles into which they were born.
Where do they come from?
They come from everywhere. But more often than not, these are families where there are generational patterns of addiction, of violence, of poverty, young parenthood, and instability. A lot of really difficult situations, but they end up, through their commitment, breaking that cycle with their children.
They're tagged the bad girl, and they're not. This is just something they learn from their family.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that label of bad girl is really difficult for them to shed because they internalize that.
Yeah.
And what we say to them is that you may have made some bad choices, you may have done some bad things, but you're not a bad person. We might not agree with some of their choices, but we have to understand the context in which they live.
What can we do to help?
The first thing that we can do is to share the message about the epidemic. People don't believe there's a problem. These young women are invisible. So anyone in their daily life can talk to their friends, their family, their colleagues about some of these facts. The second thing is to volunteer. Mentor with young people, particularly girls, of course I would say that, but mentor. Donate your time. And the other is to contribute money to support organizations that serve girls and young women. And the last is really to be aware and to pay attention to the young women that you come in contact with, and to spend some time to show them that you believe in them, that you have expectations and think that they can be successful.
So Jeanette, you're right, we can make a difference. We can and must support the amazing survivors of violence by volunteering our time, contributing financially, supporting programs and services, and speaking out when situations occur. Jeanette, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned with us. There's more to come on Having It All right after this.